one of my assistants, who is a retired senior Army intelligence officer, spent 18 months working on an energy project with DARPA. And the energy project became very clear to him, involved many types of fusion energy, both cold fusion and hot fusion, neutronic and aneutronic, meaning bomb-related, or let's say hydrogen boron, that were to some extent very probably reverse-engineered non-terrestrial technologies.
And reversed by a willing participant of ET intervention, or something we might have picked up from something crashed, for example?
Well, I'll give you one strange experience I had. I've had, in a lifetime, it's difficult for someone who even works close to this world to say, I've worked constantly with these projects. Well, some people may have my entire lifetime experience of working close to UFO issues comes to 2 hours over a period of 43 years.
Okay.
In 1982, I was put on the readers group for Majestic 12. I received an original copy, slightly redacted, done off a typewriter dated August 23rd, 1977, from the Office of Naval Intelligence, that about 12 pages long, and it was done, I had copy number 5, done on just plain flimsies from the manual Remington typewriter years.
Oh, I remember those. Yeah.
Well, I read it once, and I was working for a government agency at the time and had a very high security clearance. It took me 18 months to be cleared for the reading group. I read the documents once and put them back in the envelope, twisted the string around, returned to sender, sent them back, and found that I could never live knowing what was on those. And then years later, lo and behold, almost everything that was in those documents was later on the plot of the television show X-Files.
As if somebody gave them to the producer.
I've been told that Chris Carter was put on the reading group of Majestic 12.
What was in those documents, Gordan, that frightened you?
The documents covered the period from 1947 to 1977 when they were produced. They indicated that over this period we had 2 distinct treaties. There have been more since, I have been told, but one in 1947, initially with President Truman, one in 1953 with President Eisenhower.
Yeah.
The 1950, and we're jumping right into the unpleasant area. The 1953 treaty with President Eisenhower was an agreement, a coercive agreement against the United States on the behalf of a hostile alien power that wished to be able to kidnap a number of citizens from the United States, which means, of course, they had agreements with other nations as well. And this is a critical thing that we may have time to talk about later. The number was unusually high. These were not people that were going to be detained and probed and returned. These were people that were going to be detained and butchered. They were very clear about this.
Why did they want to do this?
The impression I had, and I'm an intelligence officer. I will grade what I say. The impression I got from reading the document is that we were dealing with people that there may have been groups within the groups we dealt with that had genetic interest in bloodlines within the world that had bred with humans and that were following genetic developments. This group in particular we were talking about had a simple interest in eating people.
Oh, my gosh. Sounds like To Serve Man from The Twilight Zone.
Exactly. And the problem we have is that so many of the movies we're running into, from the most recent Battleship, which very much correlates with this naval problem in the Pacific, to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which described in Majestic 12 as an incident that actually happened in 1965, almost word for word. So many of the things that we have had presented to us by Hollywood have strong origins within these classified documents, and it's as though these things are being released as a preparation for disclosure somehow, movies like Independence Day and other such things, so that we're likely to take this.
To get us ready. Gordan, hold on. We're going to hit this break. We're going to come right back. A few more questions I've got for you, plus we're going to open up the phone lines. Well, with Gordan Duff, he is the senior editor of Veterans Today, and we're talking about a number of things, including this apparent joint U.S.-Chinese mission off the coast, combating some extraterrestrial threat. And welcome back with Gordan Duff. Gordan, this treaty that was done in 1953, I assume it was done because we didn't have much of a choice, did we?
We were considerably ill-armed. However, in 1953, and I had gotten this from President Reagan's chief intelligence analyst, Leo Wanta, the United States had tested its first anti-gravity space device, which we have in storage at the United Kingdom at the Bryce Norton Air Base, called the TB-2. It was a very primitive craft built by Lockheed using a Mercury and a Linco 5 magnetic system. It floats around like a giant hockey puck, about the size of a 747. I've actually seen it. I got about 20 minutes to look at it about 2 years ago. And a lot of green flaking paint, a lot of stained aluminum, and it's a lot of very on-airworthy aircraft powered by two primitive jet engines off a B-36. But that was our first anti-gravity machine. Part of the story here that we're looking at right now, the Pacific story, is that, and these were the things I received intelligence agency real confirmations from, is that we were dealing with an entity, one that technically was, and there are as many as 12, we are told, that the varying nations of the world are dealing with. And if only I were making this up. I wish I was.
I wish you were, too. But...
that this one is unusually unfriendly. I was told to reference the film Independence Day, that they live in underwater bases, had notified us that they were going to bring motherships in and settle in the Pacific Basin. They had moved one off Catalina Island. The U.S. Navy was heavily involved in the Persian Gulf and called on other world navies, Singapore, China, and others to fill in. That our initial response was a couple of launches of. We had tested maybe 3 months ago or so a Mach 13 vehicle out of Vandenberg.
Right. That didn't work, right?
Well, that vehicle, we've had working versions of that for some time. They work much faster than Mach 13, and they carry an energy cannon based on I'm told, a Tesla design. And I have some engineering background. You and I are both Detroit kids from about the same time,
That's
by
right.
the way.
That's right.
We can have that talk about going to the Ford Rotunda to see Santa Claus someday.
That's right.
Yeah. But what people are unaware of, and what most people are unaware of, is that the treaties that limited the use of weapons in space have all been abrogated. That within orbit we have many nuclear weapons. The U.S. has a fleet of small fusion-powered hunter-killer satellites that are designed ostensibly to at a time of war to destroy enemy communication satellites, to take down the GPS system, to protect the United States. They all, in actuality, are aimed outward. That we have high-energy weapons that operate on technologies a century beyond what we admit having, that aim out towards space. And within the upper atmosphere and in low Earth orbit, we have sensors. These are nanosensors. This is as much classified information as I can safely give over the Internet.
Why don't they want us to know about this, Gordon?
I can only give you my guess that one of the units that you can look at on the Internet, and you can extrapolate from this, is the dense plasma hydrogen boron fusion reactor that produces enough waste electricity out of something the size of a basketball to equal a nuclear plant and cost about $70,000 to build. The issue, by saying it's a Malthusian issue, meaning that if the planet had free, unlimited energy, it would not only cause the continually concerned economic collapse because hydrocarbons would become valueless, but it would allow all nations endless free electricity, endless purified water, endless industrialization, endless desalinized seawater, that the world population would move from what it is now, and there's a dispute about what it is. It's claimed to be 7. Some people say it's only 3.6, 3.8 billion people, but that we would, within a generation, if we had free energy, reach a population level of 25 billion that would be, to some, unsustainable.
Unsustainable, yeah.
And then you have to realize that if you believe there's a secret conspiracy group of, let's say, blue ticket holders like in X-Files, the ones that say when the aliens come, they're going to join the aliens and watch the rest of us be turned into human shish kebabs, that those people tend to look on the rest of us, if those people actually exist, and that would be a conspiracy theory. But they use the term useless eaters. And I think you may have heard that before, George.
We sure have. So these groups of extraterrestrials that are unfriendly, many of which are hiding down there at the bottom of the ocean, what do they plan to do? Are they going to emerge one day? What do they want?
This group in particular had decided that it was reasonable for them to seize the entire Pacific Basin, saying it in a rather Hitler-esque fashion. This is all we want. And I know the protections we were using from them, the unpleasant surprise is that we have the ability to shoot down their vehicles. We have high-energy weapons that make the things that we tell people we have look like a childish joke. And those nanosensors we were talking about don't just sense the presence of things, but they look for distortions in space and time. There are issues of, and of course, you know, the CERN collider discovered the God particle, which enters on the beginnings of a clear understanding of a unified field theory. We disproved within the last couple of years general relativity. So we know that it's possible to operate well outside of the speed of light, that time is in no way an absolute, and that interdimensional travel is something that is far more likely than someone physically moving over distances. The detections we have here are exactly out of Hollywood, or more dangerously, from this season of Fringe, and that's that same network, but we have a season of Fringe that very much approaches the kinds of threats that we're potentially facing. And the question that I look at here, and I can see myself some 20, 30 years ago, that you can live and, let's say